ball with it.
Hey, got that dog in me. Got that dog in me. Tighten up. Got that. Welcome to episode 4 of the Predictors podcast. As always, we have the illustrious Dr. Provencher, the GOAT Zajac, Nate Dogg. Shout out, happy birthday to the boy, and your boy Jay Rock. We're blazing right into week 4 here of the 2024 season. Couple of quick hits from the past week. It's been a long time since the Ravens have been one of the healthiest teams in the NFL. They're going to really need that health moving forward. Health matters, ladies and gentlemen. Denver Broncos coming in absolutely clutch, and we know that their health helped them out a lot this weekend. The Dolphins are going to continue to fall. They're already down to it. It looks like Skyler might be having some issues of his own, digging deep into that quarterback depth chart. Andy Dalton did what he had to do for the Panthers. You love to see it. Carolina Nation rise up. And let's say it, the refs should have called dead that play for Devontae Smith. We're not looking to have concussions like that going through the rest of the season. Opening up straight with a couple of injuries from this week. T. Higgins. Tyler, tell us about him.
Yeah, Jared. So T. Higgins, he actually got to play this week. He's coming back from that hamstring injury. If you looked at our data that we put out on Twitter for the predictors, you would have seen that when hamstring injuries, when receivers come back from them, they're usually down about 15 reception yards their first game back. And lo and behold, he had 39 yards when his average last year was just above that at 54.7. So that pretty much almost exact drop of that 15 yards. I expect him this week to have a bigger game, be a bigger part of that offense. So excited to watch him this weekend.
We also have Jordan Addison from the Vikings. He did practice in a limited capacity on Wednesday after an ankle injury week 1 against the Giants. Combined with Justin Jefferson, that would be a fantastic and dominant offense for the Vikings. Hopefully they can make that happen. Doc, what do you think about Jordan Love coming back?
Well, you know, he almost made a go of it last week. He did some pretty significant warm-ups and just didn't feel right, and probably it's early. Like a guy like that who's a super mobile quarterback, when you look at our data at predictors.com, again, doesn't matter who you are as a quarterback, you still need a stable knee, you need a stable platform, even if you're not a running quarterback. And guess what? Jordan's a huge running quarterback. And so that MCL, why is it such a prickly thing? Because it's so big. It's a very long ligament. It takes a long time to heal. But the good news is they heal very well without surgery. And I expect to see him this week and probably in pretty good form, but I would say down a little bit in his overall running yards and actually down a little bit in passing.
Thanks for that, Doc. We got George Kittle coming back from a hamstring injury. Tyler, what do you have to say about George Kittle?
Yeah, so Kittle injured his hamstring last week during practice, was a later week scratch. Wasn't able to practice Thursday, Friday, and then was inactive for the game last weekend. Obviously, the 49ers are in big trouble injury-wise. They do seem optimistic that Kittle will be able to play this weekend, which will be huge for the 49ers as they face the New England Patriots, who we know haven't been great this season thus far, but with Christian Gonzalez locking up Brandon Ayuk as he has many other wide receivers this season, and with that being a chance this weekend, they're really going to want Kittle to throw the ball to.
Let's get Kittle back out there. We also have Dallas Turner, linebacker for the Vikings. He should be coming back against the Green Bay Packers, according to Kevin O'Connell, after a knee injury that he sustained week 2 against the 49ers. Kenneth Walker, running back for the Seahawks. Tyler, tell us about him a little bit.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker had a great first week, had 103 rush yards and a touchdown, but strained that abdominal area. We know from the past that he has had sports hernia surgery, and he has had difficult with his oblique and abdominal area before. He missed week 2 and 3. They seem to think he'll be back this week. Doc, let us know a little bit more about this injury. You know, someone who's had that, I know you've seen sports hernia surgery in a lot of your athletes. Is 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 games enough for him to recover and get back on this field?
Tyler, it depends how big the strain is. That groin hernia is we call it athletic pubalgia. And basically, it's a strain of some of the muscles in the front of the pelvis. Now, what also goes with it are groin injuries, hip injuries, adductor strains, even proximal hamstring or near the hip, hamstring injuries or other injuries. Why? Because all of this whole joint is connected to the underlying core musculature. So that core musculature is super key to get that inflammation down, to get it healed, or he could potentially re-tear and re-injure that area that he had repaired surgically. We absolutely don't want that. So I wouldn't rush him back for sure, but we could see him back, I would say, in 2, 3, 4 weeks and probably doing pretty well at that point.
Thanks for that, Doc. So that's good on our players returning from injury. Let's go to a couple of week 4 injuries. Doc, tell us about Justin Herbert, high ankle.
Yeah, so Justin Herbert obviously tried to make a go with it. He tweaked his ankle, tried to come back, was warm up again on the sideline week 3, and just couldn't get back into the game. And so he tweaked his ankle pretty badly. Again, another high ankle. Herbert's super tough, and I'm sure he wanted to play, but a quarterback coming to back off a high ankle just goes against all our data, all our models, all everything, and this is almost predictable that he's going to tweak it again, that he's going to have another problem. The issue with this that I'm concerned about is he may have injured it further before allowing it to heal enough, and the problem with this is that high ankle injures this area between these two bones, the tibia and the fibula, and they can just keep aggravating it again and again. And so he's going to need multiple weeks now to get this better.
Hopefully he takes that time to heal. Health matters. Tyler, let's talk about Eagles Devontae Smith for a quick second. Concussion, what did you think about that play? What do you think about that injury?
Yeah, well, as you said, Christian Boyd hit him late, and a lot of people think that the ref should have stopped that play after his forward momentum was stopped, should have blown the whistle. It wasn't a penalty on the field. However, Christian Boyd was fined $4,600 that came out that he has been fined for that hit. So the Eagles are in a tough position here. A.J. Brown is out with his hamstring injury. Devontae Smith now is going through concussion protocol. And then on the offensive line, you have Lane Johnson going through concussion protocol and Mekhi Becton, who tore a ligament in his ring finger that he is going to be able to play with, but it will have to be casted or, put with another finger there and taped together. So that's something that they now have to deal with on offense. It's a lot to do when they play Tampa, who's been a little bit inconsistent, but high-powered offense. They're going to have to keep up with them in Tampa. So it's going to be a very interesting week. I don't think we'll see A.J. Brown back this week just because they have a bye week 5. So it makes more sense to give him the rest. But if they need him, maybe they'll call him up.
Thanks for that. We got Sam Laporta, right ankle injury. Doc, what can you tell us about that low ankle sprain?
Yeah, J-Rock, fortunately for Sam and Lions fans, low ankle sprain. Low ankle sprain, our data predictors shows 1.0 games. So he could potentially get back. He actually tried to come back, just couldn't really make a go of it. So it's not too bad of a low ankle sprain, but the problem is it gets worse the first couple days after the injury on Sunday's game, and that's the main issue for him. Is could potentially miss this week. We're going to see how he does in practice and go from there, but we'll see what happens with him. I would expect him to miss at most 1 week, however, and then after that, what we see is really good recovery. This is not like a high ankle sprain.
Bengals offensive tackle Trent Brown with a torn patellar tendon. How serious does that look, in your opinion?
This is a devastating injury, and 20 minutes ago, Doc, we were in the OR and you were repairing a patellar tendon. Now, this injury will sideline him for the rest of the season, and the predictors' data reveals a very concerning trend that players across all positions who suffer a torn patellar tendon see a 65% decrease in snap percentage following their recovery. Now, Doc, can you first explain, how does this injury differ from other knee injuries like an ACL tear, and why does it decimate so many NFL careers?
Yeah, Nate, so the ACL obviously is inside the knee here, and we all know that pretty well. It's tweaked, usually with a non-contact hyperextension injury. The knee's in a certain position. Totally different to the patella tendon. The patella tendon connects our kneecap down to the tibia, connects the biggest muscle in the body, which is the quad, down through this kneecap, and then attaches to the tibia. And what it does is it allows force to extend that leg, and it's super important tendon. It's one of the thickest tendons, biggest tendons we have in the body because of its importance. And so when it's torn, it generally tears right here, right off the kneecap. And it has to be fixed with a variety of sutures, anchors, bone tunnels. We use all kinds of things. We're just doing one in the operating room, like you said, to fix one of these in an athlete. And the problem with it is it's such a big muscle unit. It's the entire extensor mechanism, as we say, of the leg. And that is really important. Again, biggest muscle of the body, super important for a position like him. Unfortunately for Trent, this is really tough news and the Bengals because not only this year, but next year is going to be at risk for him coming back. But we'll see him back. He's an amazing player. They need him, and we'll see him back. But it's going to take a while to get him better.
It's going to take a quick while to get Trent back in the trenches. Tyler, we got Joe Alt, offensive tackle for the Chargers. Give us a little rundown on that MCL sprain.
Yeah, J-Rock. Well, as many know, Joe Alt, first-round draft pick by the Chargers, 5th overall last year. And this is a big injury, not just because of who he is and what he needs to do, but because, as we already talked about, Herbert, their quarterback, is also dealing with an injury. So he needs the most protection he can get. Now, we know on average, offensive linemen with an MCL will miss around 4.7 games. Now, they have not come out, and Coach Harbaugh refuses to speak on the severity of Alt's injury and that MCL. So we don't know exactly how bad, how severe this injury is, but he has not been placed on IR yet. But I have to think that he's going to be out around 3 to 4 games and then more if it doesn't heal right. But as he hasn't talked about severity, we don't 100% know yet. But this is a big injury for the Chargers, given that Justin Herbert's also dealing with his injury as well.
Tyler, I mean, those Chargers' 5th pick last year out of Notre Dame. Joe's an amazing individual left tackle, but then you got Rashawn Slater on the other side out with a pec. So you got both of their tackles, which were doing an amazing job for Herbert and the Chargers, and was setting them on the right path. And now everything's completely changed now with Slater and Alt being out likely this week. And we haven't heard for sure on Slater, but it's going to be a problem for the Chargers in the offensive line.
Looking back on the week, we had some pretty big injuries, some great players returning to the field. Hopefully they're not coming back too early. Always check the predictors' data to make sure your player's not coming back too quick. Let's get straight into week 4, game of the week. Tyler, who do you have game of the week this week? Put the people on.
Oh, J-Rock, give me the Vikings Green Bay Packers. I am excited for this game in division rivalry. I'm hoping that we see Jordan Love back on the field because I think he'll want to get back for this one. The Vikings have been doing fantastic. They are 3-0 behind Sam Darnold and Justin Jefferson there. Justin Jefferson played unbelievable his first half last week, but then didn't have a catch the second half. We know he was dealing with that quad injury. He said he jammed his finger as well. So we're going to see how he's feeling, but I'm excited to see if the Vikings are the real deal. I think they are, but Green Bay could shut them down. Jair Alexander and that defense have the most interceptions in the NFL right now with 7, I believe. So they have a stout defense, and I'm excited to see how this game goes.
Yes, sir. I think this will be a good game, one that hopefully the Packers fans can love to see, but maybe those Vikings will do their thing. Doc, tell us, game of the week. Who you feeling?
Oh, J-Rock, easy for me. Eagles, Bucks, dude. Tyler, last week you said we're going to see what the Eagles or Saints were made of. Well, we clearly saw the Eagles coming back with massive grit at the end of that game. Saquon is just playing amazing. And so we got a lot of great things out of the Eagles, but we just talked about a lot of health issues, at least for the near term, first few weeks coming up. And so we're really going to see what the Eagles are made of as they play the Bucks. Bucks have been consistently inconsistent and are dealing with some issues. Will we see A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, probably not making it through concussion protocol? So this is a big game, and could see some playoff implications down the road as well.
Yes, sir. As we enter into week 4, every game starts to matter more and more. Every play matters more and more. Nate, who do you think is going to get it done this week? Who should the people be paying attention to?
Yeah, I got Commanders versus Cardinals. Jaden Daniels had a big coming out party, and now the Bengals have a hilarious 0-3 record. Now the Cardinals are favored in this game, but the Commanders do have the highest bus score, so I'm gonna go ahead and trust the bus.
I like that, dude. We trust the bus too. It's great.
You trust the bus, you can never get thrown under the bus. My game of the week, call me crazy, call me an overhyped Carolina man, but I'm going to tell you right now, the Panthers-Bengals might be the game to watch this week. The Panthers do have something to prove. Andy Dalton wants to show that he is the franchise quarterback. Bryce Young, if you're sitting on the sideline, I hope you're taking notes because that man is throwing some absolute dimes. Adam Thielen may be in the game. He did have a hamstring injury, but if he does come back, that's just going to give Andy Dalton one more weapon to hit, and we all know the Bengals coming 0-3. Joe Burrow feels the weight of his city on his back. He has something to prove. I think that's going to be an absolutely explosive game between two great quarterbacks, and I'm just hoping to see one for the books absolutely this weekend. Thanks for joining us on episode 4 of the Predictors Podcast. As always, we have the illustrious Dr. Provencher, Nate Dogg, the GOAT Zajac, and your boy J-Rock. We're blazing right into week 4 of the 2024 season. Thanks for joining us. Always, the Predictors, predicting 100%, baby. Have a good night.